44. I'm your host, Cameron, and I am here today with Thomas. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning in, we do office hours 6 times per week, and we invite our members onto our Zoom, and they can ask bubble questions, give us comments, questions, whatever it may be. We can't promise answers, but we do promise you won't suffer alone, and we get it right most of the time. So let's go ahead and get started. Thomas, did you bring us questions today?
I have one really basic question, and it's more of just a quick build, if you can.
Yeah, sure.
If you can show me how to do pagination, 20 items in a repeating group.
All right,
so as
do this
to
together.
Load everything at once.
Sure. So do we have any records with 20 items?
Sure.
We could always create a bunch of records really quickly. Yeah, no, nothing on here that has 20. But go ahead and let's create 20 things. So to start, I am going to create a new data type. I'm going to creatively call this thing, and thing will simply have a user associated with it. Here we go. Okay, so when we click this, we're going to start a recursive workflow. I was doing something earlier, so I had this already created. Just creating an API workflow. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new thing. It's going to be 20 of me, I guess. We're going to just keep it simple. We're going to go ahead and schedule a new API workflow. We're going to say it is create thing, and it is going to be current date plus a second. And we will say do a search for things count is less than or equal to 20. So this should create us 20 things in about 20 seconds. So what I've done here, very simply, is created a backend workflow. It is a recursive workflow. It is going to cycle as many times as it needs to, while the count of things is less than or equal to 20. I've set this button here, so we click start, and then we say when this button's clicked, we're just going to go ahead and actually start that workflow. So let's go ahead and preview this real quick and get that list populated. And for the sake of demonstration, we're probably going to do pagination by probably about like 5 or 10 or so. Data source will be do a search for things. And then lastly, I did just realize we have nothing in this repeating group. It has no idea what it's supposed to be looking for. So current cells things user, we will say email. And the current user was not logged in. I just now realized while that happened. So we're going to just very quickly go ahead and delete these things. And
it happens to the best of us, Cameron.
Welcome, Tanya. Hello.
Hello.
Let's see. We're going to data. We're going to users. We want to run it as admin. Okay. Cool. There we go. So in about 20 seconds or so, we should have a full list of 20 items. Now, with that having said, what we're trying to do is we're trying to have this repeating group set as a, I guess, a fixed amount of rows. So we're in vertical scrolling. We'll just say fixed number of cells for this. And what we will do is we'll add a button down here and a button down here. This will be back and this will be forward. And the idea here is when we click back, it'll take us back. And when we click forward, it'll take us forward. Now, what we need to do is data. It should be, let's see, where is it hiding? Is it data, make changes to list? Show next of a repeating group. Great. Okay. So very easily, and this should be the way that it works before we test it. When that button's clicked, the action that we're going to be putting is show next of a repeating group. And so we're going to do the same for this guy, where we say show previous of a repeating group. So with our list populated and it being fixed, I do now recognize one of the issues that we're going to run into is all of these texts are the same. So I will just add a couple numbers here. Oh, that's a user field. Oh no, that's right, I forgot. What's the email? TAI. Then what we can do. So I'm trying to think of a way to rectify this without having to create another 20 things, but we're gonna create another 20 things where we're assigning count as the number and then do a search for not user, but things count. So now this should increment by 1 every single time that we create it. I'm gonna go ahead and bore us with doing it again. And then while that's running, let's double check. Let's make sure that that count is showing up. Count 2, count 3, perfect, okay. So in a repeating group, we'll just say it's this thing's count. And that doesn't need to be super fancy. Sweet. So when we click it, with that action on our workflow, it's going to basically just intelligently look at that repeating group. And we do have the ability to assign it. So if we were to have more than one repeating group here, it would give us more options. So whichever repeating group it's looking for. Now we do have this as a fixed number of cells. And the caveat here is that this is not on the new responsive engine. So at least for now, I do want to show you that this is how you would do it. And of course, we can set a fixed number of rows and cells on the responsive engine as well. And so I'll show you that. But so we're just saying that when we click this button, we want it to move forward in the repeating group. And then when we click this button, we're saying we want it to move back.
Very cool. Super
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah, it really is super simple. I love it. Bubble makes it very, very easy to be able to do things like that.
Yeah.
I've done stuff with, so I come from like a web background where I was working with WordPress and Shopify. And pagination, when you're actually like writing it out in code, is just so much more complicated and so much more difficult. Drawing it on the screen with Bubble and then being able to click a couple buttons, it is amazing. It definitely makes things much, much easier.
Yeah, and I've heard it's just really, page load speed, no.
Yeah, it's speedy. Real quick though, I do want to go ahead and set it on the new responsive engine,
Sure.
just so that we can take a look. So when you are on the new responsive engine, you will have an option to set a fixed number of rows and a fixed number of columns. And if you deselect that, then it says, what's the minimum height of each cell. And then depending on how it's laid out, whether it's fixed, aligned to parent, row, or column, or so on, you have your option to change the width and the height here. So it's not too much different. I just wanted to show you side by side, instead of having it where, on the old engine where it gave you, do you want a vertical scrolling, fixed number of cells, so on and so forth. It's just all placed right here and a little bit, it displays a little bit differently. But same functionality.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Well,
Thank you, man.
we have 100. Let's see. It's not doing exactly what we want to, but if we set fixed number of rows, there we go. Now it's the same functionality. But yeah, there you go. That's how you do it.
Very cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to help. Anything else that you want us to go over?
That'll be it for me, at
Sweet.
least.
Okay. Well, Tanya, let me pick your brain. Do you have any questions for us?
Let's see. Questions. Not off the top of my head. Excited for bubble school coming up, though. We've got eight people so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah, several more that we're wrapping up this week to admit into bubble school. So that's exciting.
That is very exciting. Yeah, honestly, I'm getting giddy thinking about it.
What was that?
I said I'm getting giddy thinking about it.
Giddy? Yes, definitely.
I do want to show you. So I had asked the questions in the founder chat. Basically the same thing that we were running into yesterday, like how do we actually sort with Algolia and have it the way that it needs to be. And so what I've done, let me preview it real quick. So as you know, yesterday we were running into an issue where this user was always at the top, despite the fact that numerically the amount of words that matched our query were lesser than this user. So we know that this user has like 20 some odd instances of the word Tucson in particular. And I may have spoke too soon, but it did work earlier. And that's what we like.
Why did it work earlier and not now? Let's find out.
Let's see. So when this value's changed, what we're doing is making a list, making changes to a list of big blocks. And so what we're doing is we're assigning a count integer. And more importantly, even though it's not working as we want right now, this is how you would do it, at least for a small scale operation. And as we discussed yesterday, there's going to be probably hundreds, if not thousands of users for this app. So it's probably not practical in that sense, but it is a nice little hack if you were working with a small data set or a small amount of users. Let me just make sure here so that the custom big block is set. So you can see here, we have the count number. It looks like this is what we're doing with this right here. So count is this big block's tags, and we're extracting with regex the input b's value, and we're getting then the count of how many times this value is inside this block's tags. Then what we do inside Algolia is we do configuration, ranking and sorting, and then we add a custom ranking. So this is a custom attribute that we've added. It is descending, and so it knows that this is a number, and Algolia intelligently is able to assume that based on the fact we've put ascending or descending, where the numbers in terms of what would you say, if they're greater or less than each other, where they should be placed. So
there we go.
There we go. So yeah, now Cameron's appearing at top. If we do blue, let's just double check here. So if we go, where is it? Browse. Go ahead and expand these so we can just do a quick Control F. You can see that the number did update to 4 blue here, 1 blue here, and 1 blue here. And it did so very quickly. And it's just a matter of making sure that it's reflected here. And it looks like it does load it a little delayed, unfortunately. So like I said, it's not a really solid fix, but it is at least a work in, or I say going towards the right direction.
Yeah, it's a working prototype of what you're looking to do.
Exactly, yeah. So still trying to figure that one out. But that's
awesome. It. But that's progress. That's good.
Yeah, it's progress. I posted on Algolia's forum and the bubble forum, and I've been asking the founder, the NoCoders founders, or pro NoCoders founders. I've been running into.
You've been asking everybody.
Yeah, brick wall into brick wall. So.
Because nobody's ever tried to do this before. That's weird.
Doesn't that seem really weird? And I'm not a bad Googler. I've Googled a lot. I've tried to figure out how to get it, but it's
I'm not a bad Googler.
But yeah, no, I haven't been able to get it. So, but I wanted to show you that at least, sort of.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's always good. How's Wordle coming along? I didn't finish my Wordle for today.
I honestly haven't spent a whole lot of time. I've been working on other projects.
Sure.
But for the most part, I think it's, at the end of the day, I think it's like a 95% done. I think the last thing that we need to just make sure is that the inputs are inputting correctly, and that the cookie situation that we were working with
Mm-hmm.
can be resolved, but let's try it out.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll preview it here and see what we can do. Result. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to open up the records in the back end. We're going to go to word submissions. This is what happens when a user logs in. We can tell that the day is March 8th. This is the attempt number 1, so it did work as intended.
Mm-hmm.
I like starting, let's see. Well, see, that's the problem. So it's loaded. We've clicked the keyboard, and the value is empty. So I know that we did have somebody we were working with here that ran into something similar, and they said, hey, so the repeating group loads the data, but sometimes when you enter information, it doesn't actually track to the database. So I'm wondering if we can have it to where we change the data of the repeating group on page load or when a word submission is created. So we do data, what is it? Display a list. And it would be, could we do result step one now? Okay. Do a search for word submissions. And we have a couple different constraints that we are applying here. We use hour, we use, where is date text, and then user. Now I'm going to find what I did, because I have it here somewhere, where I have all of the hours and dates the way that they need to be written out. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Oh, it's on create a word submission. Oh. So we're going to copy this at date text. I'll say contains. All right, we'll actually change that to equal, keep it the same. Now what we're going to do is delete this, refresh this, and see if that may have fixed it. So, oh, there we go. We like that. Now, one of the things that you may have just seen, Tanya, is that when I had clicked one of these letters on the keyboard, there was some input delay. It seemed like it didn't actually register.
Are you using the instant text plugin?
I am, yeah. So I'll show you what we're doing here. Let's say like when we click M, right? What we're doing is we're taking the inputs value and appending M. And it's being placed on the input field ID, where then it's somewhere hidden inside here. So input, just to show you guys down here, we have the ID attribute input field. This is what you do with live text. You make sure that there's an ID attribute on your input field. Then you have the live text plugin, you draw near it. And so you can see it's associated to the element ID input field. And it should be rather quick doing it that way. But sometimes there is still some kind of like delay or latency. Do you know why that would be?
Let me, can you go?
Yeah, where do you want
go
me to
back? So when you click the button, what's the workflow?
Yeah, so click this button, and for the letter S, what we're going to do is we're going to change, we're going to display data in the input. So we're saying add this character to the input field. And then live text looks at the input field and it takes it, and then it puts it in our
I think-
repeating group.
Is that backwards? Or is that the way to do it? I can't remember. It's been a while since I played around with it.
Well, before we go any further, because it could be backwards,
Okay.
I have modified my keyboard both ways. So I experienced the same error, whether it was inputs or live text value append or inputs value. So
Yeah,
that's-
I think it's, I mean, you're using the plugin for taking the, yeah, you're essentially, yeah, I don't know if there's a way to skip. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to skip that delay. I think it probably requires some kind of plugin or something.
I mean, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it definitely at least to me, right? From a user experience, it might be a little impacty, but for me, I'm like, oh, well, I know my bugs, you know?
Yep. Yep. I hear you 100%.
So yeah, I typed in ST. Let's try that again. So ST.
You only give them 5 chances. That's funny.
It is so much more difficult with 5 chances. So that's so START. What?
Huh?
Did you?
Yeah, that's weird. S.
So I clicked all of them, and it looks like it was trying to catch up with each other.
Yeah.
Now, if we go back to our data and back to our word submission, it does show that SR is. And if you go slow and you're deliberate about it, it seems like that's a little bit better. I wonder if this is based on capacity. Not that there's a lot happening.
Yeah, but it is workflows per second, right? But this is on an agency plan?
Yeah, this is associated with the agency plan. That's right.
Huh.
Oh, I guess not. No, it's saying that we could match the professional plan if we confirm the boost. All right, we're boosted for the next 59 minutes.
Let's do it. Nope. Did
No.
not like that.
And I don't know if I'd be able to replicate this on a step-by-step because it wouldn't let me go fast enough, would it?
Right.
Yeah, no. So I guess what's happening, well, let's do something here. Let's take this. And so this is the input field, and we're going to make it visible. It's going to probably break this a little bit, but is it hiding off the page? Is that what's happening? Looks like it is hiding off the page. Let's set this in the middle. Where's my text? Let's change the text style. Okay, cool. So hopefully it shows up. Okay, cool. So now we can see it. START. Okay, that worked. Huh. Now, of course, we did just do the capacity boost, but I wonder if actually having this element visible is what we need.
Bye, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas, you have a good one, man.
See you guys.
Let's try. So we've done start. What's another good 5-letter word? What do you normally? You said smart is what you start with?
I've been doing my game plan as of late has been to do smart and then liked and then cough. That gets me through a lot of the alphabet.
That does, right? Yeah. I like the OUGH.
Yep, exactly.
That's big. So another thing here, let's do a step by step because we see that this data is here. We haven't entered it yet. And we can tell that we haven't entered it because these keys haven't been depressed. Oh, I've broke bubble.
The one for the books, Cameron.
I broke bubble, my goodness.
You win.
So yeah, let's do a step by step. I click this backspace button. And so what it's saying is that when we click it, this looks like an entry. Let's see what's going on. So we're going to do this. We're going to open up the backspace workflow. And of course, it didn't want to bring us there. So let's go here when delete is clicked. And I have 2 of them. Let's get rid of one.
Well, that would
That may help us.
confound things for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So cough, let's see. All right, that's the way that we want it. Okay, that definitely did help. No, okay, so again, the same issue. We'll check this error out. So it's saying that with more capacity, is this? I wonder. Now, this is the best way, native to bubble, that I could think about creating a keyboard, right? Where we have on button click, something happens. We're changing the input value. I suppose, well, Now, I don't want to do this necessarily, but I am curious. Are there any keyboard plugins?
Yeah. Mouse and keyboard interactions. I mean,
Well, like what I mean by that, like, does it pop up on the screen kind of thing without having, without it being like the native mobile keyboard? You know what I mean?
no, the only thing I've ever done like that was I used the mouse and keyboard interactions to create create my own dial pad for like a phone number. Which worked, but it's not the same thing, right? It's that looks interesting.
Virtual keyboard, we're looking at the same thing, right?
Yep.
I wonder. All right, let's get this. Let's start a new page here. Virtual keyboard. Okay, now I guess before we honestly do anything, we gotta, this plugin allows you to have an on-screen keyboard. The virtual keyboard certain inputs are focused as well. Okay. Okay, let's go to, gotta do a little hacking. Plugin description. We're gonna take this URL. Okay, cool. Live demo. So, do you see anywhere where it would say documentation? I know that they typically like have it.
Just go in the demo editor.
Yeah, it's probably the best.
A lot of times they do their documentation there.
So, oh, check that out. Okay, well, it's down here. Well, I got this big block in the way.
What is going on? They won't let you close that?
Now I had to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so oh, that's interesting. So it looks for one text at a time, one letter at a time, I guess. So it's showing us that we're pressing one button, but then it's appending them to each other.
Right.
So it auto focuses this on every button click. And I bet that's what it does if we go into the workflow. Okay. So what they do is they set an ID attribute on the input field, input 12. And then what they say is that the input ID is input 12. So when it's focused, this automatically pops up. I really do like that. That I'm just seeing that, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we have a whole lot of layout control.
Yeah.
Because I don't want there to be numbers. And again, not the end of the world. It does its job. But still pretty cool. I wonder if there is a way. So on this input field, I'm trying to think of a way that you would prevent certain key presses or keystrokes. So you can, I know that there's certain plugins that sort of accomplish that.
Well, I mean, you could definitely prevent the keystrokes, and you might even just create a thing somewhere in the database of all the keystrokes you want to prevent, and then say it's like not in this string of text or something like that. But the other thing is you have a word checker, right?
Yes.
So it won't, I mean, if they type any special characters or whatever, it won't accept it anyway.
That's true. Yeah. So there is a solution there. Let's take this virtual keyboard, put that right here. I'm going to close this guy. Get up here at the bottom. We'll just call this input because we're super original. And then preview it. I'm doing something wrong. Okay. I'm going to go back there. I'm going to go to their workflow. So and that's strange. I don't remember clicking open for that to work. Because it says that one button click open, it instantiates that keyboard, but let's see. Maybe I did click open? Just not remembering? Weird. So if you click on here or click on open, I guess. So we'll say, well, let's just add a button. Let's just make it. Go to plugins, and then we are finding. Okay. Open virtual keyboard. So now it should work. Okay, I'm going crazy. It shows right there. Yeah, 3 workflows, right? Nothing super crazy. And it starts. Why did that's happening? It's just that's really strange. I wonder, do you think it's a version control kind of thing? Wonder if it, no, that wouldn't make sense. Position. Oh, well, that might be why. Where they have a position set. No, we have a position set. Ah, what's going on? There's no conditions set or anything like that. Well, I'm going to abandon the virtual keyboard plugin.
Bye bye, virtual keyboard.
It was nice knowing you. Huh. Interesting. We're gonna have to figure out. We're gonna have to work out some kinks with the way that this data
Yeah.
is handled.
You're killing me not finishing the Wordle though.
I'm killing me. Don't worry, Tanya.
I'm
Please.
like, come on, we gotta finish this thing.
I know.
It's funny. I don't get how Eli does it. Eli will start one and then he'll like put it down and go and do other things and then he'll come back to it. And I'm like, I have to finish it in one sitting or I won't finish it.
I actually really resonate with that. Totally. It's all my brain powers into it at that moment, and I gotta get it done. It's very difficult to come back and revisit it.
Yeah.
But I wonder though if so what I had seen with their virtual keyboard, it looks like they took the input field. They only allowed one letter in the input field. And then it looks like they added that to the submission.
Right. To the state or whatever before the submission.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Well, I also wonder, do you think we'd run into less issues if we were using states versus actually putting that data in the workflow, into the record?
Oh, I didn't realize that was happening. Yeah, absolutely. We should be using states until you actually like submit it, right?
That's making sense to me. And that's probably why we're running into this issue. Then.
That's probably why, yeah, that database call is a little heftier. So
Okay, so what we would do then, and I just want to run this by you, in which case, so as you can see here, it says we're taking live text value, we're putting it uppercase, and what we're doing is we're just taking this value, the string of characters, and we're separating it into items. Item number 1, item number 2, 3, 4, and so on. So to get this as a state, what would the best way to do, best way to approach this be? So we'd say, it's a text, or we could say even like number 1. So we know that it's number 1. We'd set it as a text, right?
mm-hmm.
And so then for each button click, I guess what we do is we'd look at the state or the previous state and then add on to the next state.
Exactly. You would use the current, like the current state's state, and then you would append the latest letter.
Okay, so to do this, now before we proceed, when I click on a button, I could click on any of these buttons. So I'm trying to just think about this. Clicking on a button, then we set the state of the first repeating group state. And then on the next button, so we'd still want to reference an input value field, right? So let's try this out.
No, you wouldn't have to, because each of those buttons are different, right? So you wouldn't have to put it in an input. You could just take that, because if you click on H, you're adding the H, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So let's just do it for H right now, or whichever letter. I don't care.
And I wanted to get that back. We'll just put this here. We'll start with Q. So on Q.
On Q. So instead of display data in an input, so take that step out, right? And then instead set state. It'll be the number 1 state, or no, you have to select whatever.
It's on the repeating group, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is right here on text libraries. Let's call this number 1 block. Number 2 block. So on Q, the state of number one block.
I'm just put the state on the page.
Put the state on the page.
Yeah, because then you can always find it.
Add a new custom state. Number one block. Text.
Maybe you can't have special characters as the name of a custom state. Like, I don't know if that is where we're running into problems, but okay, so one block, so state, it would be index because you put it on the page.
Yeah, I'm just seeing
So
if
the elements index, and then you see the number one block.
yeah.
All right, and so now it would be index.
The value.
Well, so like you're thinking of making individual states for each of those blocks. I don't think we need to do that.
Oh no. Just set the actual word on the page and then use the same kind of logic. Take the state's, I guess, length and then cut that into, well, 5 blocks. Where we do something similar to how it's set up now. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, because I mean they're not clicking into individual blocks to add a letter. They're adding words, right?
Yeah, that's right. So number one block. So when we click this, so we're going to take the indexes state number one block. We'll change that name.
But why are we doing? I don't understand. That we're not concerned with the blocks because we don't want to create a custom. Like we don't want to set up a workflow for when we click on the queue. We don't want to have to set up. What is it? 5 times 5, 25 different custom state changes on queue. You know what I mean? Like we just want to change whatever. Like once they submit a word, we can go ahead and add that to the database and submit that, like that word or whatever for that line, and then clear the state and use the same state for the next word.
Yep, totally. So I've renamed it to just word.
Okay.
And I have these. Oh goodness, I don't want to delete anything. I have no idea what.
No, I gotcha.
But in the meantime, so what we're doing is when this button's clicked, we're looking at the index. We're taking the custom state word, and then we're taking index's word, and we're appending then that letter.
Yes.
Perfect. And so now this is where it gets fun. We got to go through every letter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're having fun though. We're having fun.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to keep yourself busy, Tanya? You've been working like crazy, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm still trying to catch up from last month.
For AirDev?
Yeah, well, yeah, AirDev. It's just February was crazy because I was traveling, which was why I wasn't here a lot. And then so I knew I was going to get behind a bit on just because I was away. But now I'm trying to catch up from that. But then I also didn't have internet at the beginning of last week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, and I thought the travel was going to set me back, but the internet part just did me in. And now I'm just scrambling to catch up. And I also decided to, start a school of bubble in the meantime.
Very true.
Because
you got a lot on your plate.
I love to do big, crazy things.
I like it though. You know what? That's a leader. We like that.
Yeah.
You just got to go. I know you were traveling, but it wasn't a vacation. And from what it's sounding like, you need a vacation.
Yeah, I would say that is true.
Gotta let people know, like, hey, I need to go to Cabo or something and go relax for a couple days.
Yeah. I think I need more than a couple days.
And as long as you need. Yeah. Couple days, you're right. That's too short, especially if you're going to
Well,
Cabo.
Illy actually wants to go on she wants to do a staycation right now because it's spring break for our kids.
Yep, yep.
She's like, Mom, can we do a staycation? I'm like, you didn't ask me to do that until the last minute. Um, maybe a little difficult to achieve.
At least for her, I mean, she could do a staycation. You have to work and whatnot, but
Yeah.
she could just watch Netflix and
She'll be fine.
yeah, I remember going on vacation, spring break especially, spring and summer break. Those were the big ones. Where if we weren't doing a staycation, we went to like visit family in Oregon. I have this awful experience of taking an RV all the way up to Oregon. I was 12 or 13. My parents were like, we're about to go on a vacation. And I was like, sweet, a vacation. It turned out to be a chore though. It was not a vacation. I got super road sick on the road in the RV. It was crazy. I would recommend a cruise instead.
I love cruising.
It's
I
fairly
do. I love
inexpensive
cruising.
too.
Yeah, I went. The last cruise I did was to Bermuda.
Oh, that's nice. Making me sort of jealous right now.
Yeah.
Okay, last letter.
Boop, boop.
Okay. So we have all the letters set. And before we do any more logic where we set and remove the state when it needs to be,
Mhm.
what we should be doing now is making sure that this is the state position number one, so on and so forth.
Right.
Now, what did I do? It is an uppercase. It needs to be an uppercase. Then it's extracted with uppercase. It breaks those into 5 different little guys. So bam. Then item number 1. Okie dokie. Let's see if this fixes it. And I did not set up the delete, but it already does seem way, way faster and more responsive.
That's good. That's what we're after.
So this is 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we are going to say on index word. Or if indexes word. I already deleted it. Number of word, I guess, word.
I'll be right back, Cameron.
Yeah.
Yes, madam.
So the delete is here. we click this, it displays data input. So text should be K. Are we changing? Displaying data in an input. I guess that's not what we're actually trying to do. We're trying to set the state of the page. That would make sense. Okay. So we'll say if5. I'm going to paste it. So if4, if3, if2, and then if1. Oh, whoa. Is that a cat that I hear?
Yeah, you hear the engine cat. That's what Juan calls her.
The engine cat. I love that. Yes, absolutely. That's so accurate too. Because it honestly could be mistaken for like a motorcycle outside or
Right.
something.
Like, oh, what is that sound? Yeah, I had to get up to let her in because she was trying to tear into the room.
So
She's our first fur baby.
The first fur baby.
Yeah. We foster kittens, so at any given time, we usually have 3. And this is our first forever baby. And then we have another one,
Oh.
which was a foster fail. Because we decided we had to keep her forever.
I love it. She found a good home. Absolutely.
Yes, she did.
So we'll mash some letters, then we'll click delete, and then it looks like it deleted all of them. What? So something's not right. Let's see. It's not 5. It should be if4. Cool. And then it's, oh, okay. And I already have a feeling you're going to tell me why this is happening.
Me? Or someone?
Yeah. No, you. I have a feeling because you're going to see that I'm using is instead of less than or greater than.
Oh, yes, I have.
But I'm not sure. But maybe that, because what's happening is it's looking at the chain. You know, it's all daisy chained together. So it says, oh
Yeah, no, I think you probably it's a like.
Would you do
You're
5
running-
individual wins?
I might, because I think you might be running into like some funniness with clicking delete too quickly.
I was just clicking it once, and then it went through the entire thing.
Oh, it did. It deleted everything when you clicked it once.
Yeah, and
Oh no, you're right, because when you delete the 5, it becomes 4, right?
Yeah. So this is
So yeah, that's like when you're like toggling a checkbox. You have to have them in separate workflows because you manage to make the condition that would run the next action true when you run it in both the same workflow.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Gotta think like a robot.
Because I was gonna say, it was like, well, no, Bubble should read our minds. Like,
Why can't it? Why not?
like, come on, get with the Bubble. We're in the year 2022. We should be able to read minds now.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's on its way. Elon Musk with his Neuralink.
I know.
Both scary and super awesome, but mainly terrifying.
Did you ever read the book The Future is Faster Than You Think?
I have not read that book, no.
It's interesting because it was published like late January of 2020. And like because of COVID, I think it was rendered almost nonsensical by COVID, actually.
Really? Okay.
Well, because they weren't expecting a pandemic, right?
Sure.
So,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, so they were talking about how you could expect flying cars in 2023, like the Uber flying cars, basically. And I was like, I was
wonder.
skeptical, and then I'm like, I wonder if we, if we weren't facing all the things that have happened since then, if we would have made it to that, but.
Now what I need to do, I just realized, because my logic where 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 isn't working, is because in my state, we can see here if I click on index and then index is word, I have 6 characters because I haven't said that it's not allowed to be more than 5.
Oh.
So I have to go on all of these letters now and add a conditional where only when indexes word, we'll do the same logic here, uppercase, extract with regex. Is less than or equal to 5. Count. We're going to test this with B first. So I've clicked it 6 times. And clicking delete doesn't work again because should it be equal or less than 4?
Yes.
I'm so close to being a robot, but so far away.
No, I mean, let's face it, it's difficult. I remember like one of the first logic challenges Illy faced was we were at the play area of a McDonald's, and she wanted to change, like she wanted to sit somewhere else. And I'd already set out our food and everything. And she was like, Mom, let's go over there. And I was like, no, baby, the food's all like set out. And she was like, but nobody's sitting there. And I was like, that's true, but we're not going to move over there. All of our stuff is out. And she goes, please. And I said, no. And she was like shook because she said, please, right? And it's supposed to be like this magic word. And I was like, oh, darn. Please is necessary, but it's not sufficient.
How old was she when you told her that?
Like probably 3 or 4.
Oh my God,
I mean,
that's
I was
so
a
amazing.
I was a philosophy major in college at that point. So like, I mean, I was dealing with logic stuff all the time.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing to say.
Like, just that recognition that, oh, what? I have to say please, but it doesn't get me anything I want, really?
It's polite, good manners.
Yeah. That looks great. That seemed like that's working much better, don't you think?
Oh, it's working exactly as we want it to be. Yep, exactly. So now what we are going to do, so we have a bunch of, the keyword folder is getting crazy. I'm going to color code. My delete is going to be blue. And now after that, we got to go to the enter key and change that red. Figure opposites, they're opposites. And we'll leave everything else as is, but so this is saying—
Is that true?
Blue and red?
Are red and blue opposites? I don't think that's true.
Well, one's cool, one's hot.
Well, that's that part. Yeah, okay. Like cool and hot.
Yeah, I'm not looking that deep into it. You're the philosophy major.
Yeah, you're right. Over here, overthinking. Don't mind me.
So we got to do a couple more things here with the enter. And it looks like a lot of the way that this logic has been set up needs to be changed. Input value, because we're still looking and referencing the input value, not the state. So after that, then it would be, we're just looking at the state's number of characters 5 and state's and I think this is looking for like numbers or something. Yeah, it's a 0 and search for words list. So there's a couple different things that we'll need to change here. And I wonder though. So then the value is going to be indexes word. Okay. So this is the start to getting this completely done and worked out. And I honestly think this is probably a decent time to probably take a break and work on this next office hours if we don't.
Yes, for sure. Awesome. That was
Sweet.
fun.
Yeah, well, we definitely were able to demonstrate how just much better and efficient it is to use states versus all these workflows. Which, yeah,
And
states are
I think
badass.
I think the reason here is that states are browser side, right?
Yep.
Changing the database are all calls to the server, their server side. So it's a lot faster to work with the browser because you don't have to send a call all the way to Bubble servers and then get a response. So.
Exactly. It's way better. I love it.
Awesome.
Glad
Thanks,
we were able
Cameron.
to show it. Yeah, well, thank you, Tanya.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody else who was watching. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely now you have a little bit more knowledge about states and then how they compare to backend workflows. With that said, we're going to move to our after office hours, where if you have a developer membership with Pro NoCoders, you are free to join us if maybe you have a project that you don't want to share on camera. And until next time, you guys have a good one.
Bye, everybody.